The alarm screamed through the ship like a dying animal. Red lights flashed everywhere. Park Tae-ho gripped the control panel with both hands as his cargo vessel shook violently. Smoke filled the small cockpit. The smell of burning metal was everywhere. "Engine failure," the computer voice said calmly. "Impact in 3 minutes." Tae-ho cursed under his breath. He was alone on this ship. The Moonrise was a small cargo vessel, meant for simple supply runs between space stations. It did not need a big crew. Just one engineer who knew what he was doing. That was Tae-ho. He had been doing this job for 8 years. Nothing had ever gone wrong before, but now everything was going wrong at once. He pulled hard on the steering controls. Through the cracked window, he could see a planet rushing toward him. It was green and blue, covered with thick forests and wide oceans. Beautiful. He had never seen this planet on any map. It was not registered. It was unknown. 2 minutes to impact, the computer said. Tae-ho tried to slow the ship down. The engines coughed and died completely. He felt the heat rising around him. The ship was burning as it fell through the atmosphere. He could feel the metal walls getting hot. 1 minute to impact. He strapped himself into the pilot's seat. He pulled the straps tight across his chest. He closed his eyes and thought of home. He thought of his mother's cooking. He thought of the small apartment in Seoul where he grew up. He thought of the rain falling on the Han River. Then the ship hit the ground. The noise was terrible. Metal screamed and broke apart. Tae-ho felt his body slam forward against the straps. Pain exploded in his chest and his head. The world spun around him. Trees crashed through the walls of the ship. Glass shattered everywhere. Then silence. Tae-ho opened his eyes slowly. He was alive. His whole body hurt, but he was alive. Blood ran down his face from a cut on his forehead. His ribs ached when he breathed, but he could move his arms and legs. Nothing was broken. He unstrapped himself and fell out of the ruined chair. The ship was destroyed. The cockpit was half buried in dirt and broken trees. Sparks flew from damaged wires. The computer was dead. Everything was dead. Tae-ho crawled out through a hole in the wall. He fell onto soft grass and lay there for a long moment, breathing hard. The sky above him was purple, turning orange as the sun set. Strange birds flew overhead, making sounds he had never heard before. He was stranded, alone, on an unknown planet. For the first few days, Tae-ho focused on survival. He found water in a nearby stream. He discovered that some of the fruits on the trees were safe to eat. His emergency kit had survived the crash, giving him a knife, some medicine, a damaged flare gun, and a broken radio that he hoped he could fix someday. He built a small shelter near the crashed ship. At night, he heard strange sounds in the forest. Animals calling to each other. Something large moving through the trees. He kept a fire burning all night, every night. On the 5th day, he decided to explore further. The forest was thick and green. Giant trees rose toward the sky, their branches blocking most of the sunlight. Strange flowers grew everywhere, some of them glowing softly in the shadows. The air was warm and wet. It reminded Tae-ho of the summers in Korea, but heavier. He walked for hours, marking trees with his knife so he could find his way back. He was looking for any sign of intelligent life, any sign that someone could help him get home. But he found nothing except more trees, more flowers, more strange animals watching him from the shadows. Then he saw it. Through a gap in the trees, rising above the forest canopy, was a structure. It was enormous. It looked like a mountain, but it was too smooth, too perfect. It was built by someone, something. It was dark gray, with strange patterns carved into its surface. Thousands of small openings dotted its walls. It looked like a giant hive. Tae-ho felt his heart beat faster. Aliens. There were aliens on this planet. Intelligent ones. Ones who built things. He knew he should be careful. First contact protocols existed for a reason. Humans had met other species before, but those meetings were always planned, always controlled. Showing up at an alien doorstep as a dirty, bleeding castaway was not the right way to introduce humanity, but he needed help. His radio was broken. His ship was destroyed. He had no way to call for rescue. Maybe these aliens could help him. Maybe they had technology he could use. He moved closer, staying hidden in the trees. As he got nearer to the hive structure, he began to see movement. Creatures were walking along paths carved through the forest. They were tall and thin, with hard shells covering their bodies like armor. They had 4 arms and 2 legs. Their heads were elongated, with large dark eyes. They moved gracefully, almost silently. Taiho watched them from behind a thick bush. His heart was pounding. They were beautiful in a strange way. Dangerous looking, but beautiful. He was about to retreat, to go back to his camp and think about what to do next, when he heard something that made him freeze. High-pitched sounds. Small voices. Coming from his left. He turned his head slowly. Through the leaves, he saw a smaller path. On that path was a group of the alien creatures. But these were different. They were tiny, larvae, children. Their shells were soft and pale. They moved slowly, carefully, following 2 larger adults who seemed to be protecting them. The children made soft sounds to each other. They seemed happy, curious. One of them stopped to look at a flower. Another one bumped into its sibling and made a chirping noise that sounded almost like laughter. Taiho watched them with wide eyes. They were just kids. Alien kids, but still kids. They played and explored just like human children would. He was so focused on watching them that he almost missed it. The ground shook. The trees behind the group of children trembled. Something was coming. Something big. Te-Ho saw the adult aliens freeze. Their heads turned toward the forest. Their forearms spread wide, trying to push the children behind them. A shadow fell over the path, and from the darkness between the trees, something massive emerged. It had 6 legs and a body covered in black scales. Its mouth was wide, filled with teeth longer than Taiho's arm. Its eyes were small and hungry. It roared. The sound shook the air itself. The children screamed. And Taiho, hiding in the bushes with every instinct telling him to run, felt something else entirely. He felt the need to help. The beast was enormous. Taiho had never seen anything so terrifying in his entire life. It stood taller than any animal on Earth. Its black scales glistened with moisture. Its 6 legs moved with horrible grace, each step shaking the ground. And those teeth. Those endless rows of teeth dripping with saliva. The 2 adult aliens tried to fight. They were brave. Taiho could see that clearly. They put themselves between the monster and their children without hesitation. They made sharp sounds, trying to scare the beast away. They raised their forearms and showed their claws. But they were too small, too weak. The beast swung one massive leg and hit the first adult. The alien flew through the air and crashed into a tree with a terrible sound. It did not get up. The second adult jumped at the beast's face, claws scratching at its eyes. The monster shook its head and threw the alien aside like it was nothing. The children were alone now. They huddled together, crying in their high-pitched voices. They were so small, so helpless. Their soft shells would not protect them from those teeth. They pressed against each other, trembling with fear. The beast moved closer. Its hungry eyes focused on the easy prey before it. It opened its mouth wide. Taiho did not think. He did not plan. His body moved before his mind could catch up. One moment he was hiding in the bushes. The next moment he was running faster than he had ever run in his life. running toward the monster. "Hey!" he screamed at the top of his lungs. "Hey, over here!" The beast turned its massive head. Its small eyes found Taeho. It seemed confused. This tiny creature was running toward it? Was it attacking? Taeho reached the children just as the beast lunged forward. He threw himself over them, covering their small bodies with his own. He pulled them tight against his chest and pressed his face into the ground. The beast's claws raked across his back. Pain exploded through Taeho's body. He screamed. He felt his skin tear open. He felt blood pouring down his sides. The claws cut deep into his flesh, scraping against his bones. The pain was beyond anything he had experienced before, but he did not let go of the children. They clung to him, their small arms wrapped around his chest. They were crying, shaking, pressing their faces against him. He could feel their hearts beating fast against his body. The beast struck again. Its claws hit Taeho's shoulder, spinning him partly around. More blood, more pain. His vision went white. He thought he was going to die. He was sure he was going to die. But he remembered the flare gun in his belt. With a shaking hand, he pulled it out. The beast was above him now, its mouth opening wide to deliver the killing bite. Taeho pointed the flare gun at its face and pulled the trigger. The flare exploded in the monster's eyes. The beast screamed. It stumbled backward, shaking its head wildly. Bright light and sparks burned its face. It could not see. It crashed into trees, knocking them down like sticks. It roared in pain and confusion. Then it ran. The monster disappeared into the forest, still screaming. The sound grew quieter and quieter until it was gone completely. The forest became silent except for the crying of the alien children. Taeho lay on the ground, bleeding. He could not move. The pain was too great. He could feel his blood soaking into the dirt beneath him. He could feel his strength leaving his body. But the children were alive. He could feel them still clinging to him. 3 small aliens, pressed against his chest and arms, trembling but breathing. They were crying softly now, their sounds like sad songs. Taeho tried to speak, but no words came out. His mouth was full of blood. His eyes were getting heavy. Everything was going dark. He thought about his mother. He thought about the way she used to hold him when he was sick as a child. He thought about how safe he felt in her arms. He hoped these alien children felt safe in his arms. He hoped they knew he was trying to protect them. Then the darkness took him. He woke up once during the journey. Alien faces surrounded him. Many of them. They were carrying him somewhere. Their dark eyes looked down at him with expressions he could not read. Some of them were touching his wounds, applying something cold and wet that eased the pain. The 3 children were still with him. They walked beside the adults who carried him. They made soft sounds toward him. Worried sounds. Sad sounds. Taeho tried to smile at them, but he was too weak. He closed his eyes and fell back into darkness. The next time he woke up, he was floating. No, not floating. Suspended. He was inside some kind of membrane, like a soft bag filled with warm liquid. It surrounded his whole body, supporting him gently. It did not hurt. In fact, he could barely feel his wounds anymore. He opened his eyes and looked around. He was in a large chamber with walls that looked like dried honey. Soft light came from somewhere above. Strange machines hummed quietly around him. His back still hurt, but the pain was distant now. Dull, like a memory of pain rather than the real thing. He tried to move and found that he could. The membrane stretched but held him in place. He was not tied up, but he was not free either. He was being healed and held at the same time. Taeho remembered everything. The crash. The forest. The children. The monster. He remembered the feeling of claws cutting into his flesh. He remembered holding those small alien bodies against his chest. he had saved them. Or at least, he had tried to save them. He was alive, which meant he had probably succeeded. Unless this was some kind of afterlife. But it did not feel like an afterlife. It felt very real. Time passed. He did not know how long. The membrane kept him fed somehow, kept him hydrated. His wounds healed slowly but surely. Through the strange material surrounding him, he could sometimes see aliens moving around the chamber. They looked at him with curiosity. Sometimes they touched the membrane, making it ripple. The 3 children came to visit him every day. He recognized them by their soft shells and their small size. They would stand before the membrane and make gentle sounds. Happy sounds. They would press their small hands against the membrane, and Tejo would press his hand against theirs from the inside. He had saved them. They remembered. They were grateful. Finally, after what felt like weeks, the membrane opened. Tejo fell out of it, his legs weak, his body thin. But his wounds were closed. His back was covered with thick scars, but the flesh was healed. He could stand. He could walk. 2 large aliens waited for him. They were bigger than the others he had seen. Soldiers, he guessed. Guards. They looked at him with serious eyes. One of them spoke. Strange sounds came from its mouth. Then a small device on its chest glowed, and the sounds became words Tejo could understand. The Queen will see you now. Tejo felt his heart beat faster. The Queen. Whatever that meant, it sounded important. It sounded dangerous, but he had no choice. He was alone in an alien hive, surrounded by creatures he did not understand. His only option was to follow Dot, so he did. The guards led him through long tunnels, past hundreds of aliens who stopped to stare at him. They whispered to each other. They pointed with their many arms. Tejo felt like an animal in a zoo. He kept his head high and tried to look confident. Finally, they reached a massive chamber. The ceiling was so high that Tejo could barely see it. Strange lights floated in the air like stars. And at the far end, sitting on a throne carved from something that looked like crystal, was the largest alien he had seen yet. The Queen. She watched him approach with eyes that seemed to see everything. She was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Power radiated from her like heat from a fire. Tejo stopped before her throne and waited. The Queen spoke. The Queen was enormous. She sat upon her crystal throne like a goddess made of armor and shadow. Her shell was darker than the others, almost black, with patterns of gold running through it like veins of precious metal. Her 4 arms rested on the sides of her throne, each one ending in claws that could easily tear a human apart. Her eyes were the deepest black Tejo had ever seen, and they studied him with an intelligence that made his skin crawl. When she spoke, her voice filled the entire chamber. The translation device turned her sounds into words he could understand. You are human. It was not a question. It was a statement. Tejo nodded slowly. Yes, I am human. My name is Park Tejo. The Queen tilted her massive head slightly. We know of humans. Your kind travels the stars in metal ships. You trade with some species. You fight with others. You are known for being clever. You are known for being selfish. Tejo did not know how to respond to that. He stayed silent. The Queen continued. Our scouts found your crashed vessel 3 days' walk from here. You fell from the sky. You were alone, injured. You should have focused on your own survival. That is what any reasonable creature would do. She leaned forward slightly, and Tejo felt the weight of her attention press down on him like a physical force. Yet you did not. You found our children. You saw the beast attack. You could have run. You could have hidden. You could have let nature take its course and continued with your life. Instead, you threw your fragile body between our young and a creature that could have eaten you in one bite. You bled for children that were not your own. Children of a species you had never met. The queen paused. The chamber was completely silent. Every alien in the room was watching Taeho with unreadable eyes. Why? The queen asked. Why did you do this? Taeho thought about the question. It was a good question. Why had he done it? He remembered the moment clearly. The beast's roar. The children's screams. The feeling of his legs moving before his brain could stop them. I do not know, he said honestly. I did not think about it. I just acted. I saw children in danger. I could not let them die. Not if I could stop it. Any decent person would have done the same. The queen was silent for a long moment. Her dark eyes searched his face, looking for lies, looking for tricks. She seemed to find none. Any decent person, she repeated. Is that what you believe? Yes, you are wrong, the queen said. We have watched many species for many centuries. Most creatures save their own kind. Some species will help their allies. Very few will sacrifice themselves for complete strangers. And almost none will bleed for the children of another species entirely. She rose from her throne. She was even larger standing up. She walked down the steps toward Taeho, her 6 legs moving gracefully despite her size. The guards beside him tensed, but the queen waved them away with one-armed dot. She stopped directly in front of Taeho. Up close, she was terrifying. Her shadow covered him completely. He could smell something like honey and metal coming from her shell. You saved 3 of my youngest, she said. They are children of my blood, future leaders of our people. Because of you, they live. Because of you, our future is secure. Taeho looked up at her. I am glad they are safe. So am I, the queen said. And that is why you will remain here. The words hit Taeho like a punch to the stomach. What? You will stay in our hive. You will live among us. You will be protected and cared for. You will want for nothing. But I cannot stay here, Taeho said. I have a home. I have a life. I need to contact my people. I need to let them know I am alive. I need to go back. The queen shook her head slowly. No, you do not understand. My family will think I am dead. They will mourn me. I understand perfectly, the queen interrupted. You wish to return to your kind, but you cannot. The debt we owe you is too great. In our culture, when someone saves your children, their life becomes bound to yours. You protected what was precious to us. Now we must protect what is precious to you. My freedom is precious to me, Taeho said. The queen's eyes seemed to soften slightly, though Taeho could not be sure. Your freedom is a small price for your life. That beast would have killed you if we had not found you. Your wounds were severe. You would have died in the forest, alone and cold. We saved you. We healed you. We owe you a debt, and you owe us your life. Taeho felt anger rising in his chest. I did not ask to be saved. Neither did our children. Yet you saved them anyway. The queen turned and walked back to her throne. You will remain here, Park Taeho. You will learn our ways. You will become part of our community. In time, perhaps you will understand why this is necessary. And if I refuse? Taeho asked. The queen sat back down on her throne. She looked at him with something that might have been sadness or might have been pity. You cannot refuse. This is not a request. This is not a negotiation. This is our law. You are bound to us now, as we are bound to you. Leaving would be an insult to our culture, an insult to the children you saved, an insult to me. We would not stop you with force, but we would not help you either. And you cannot survive on this planet alone. The beast you faced was not the only predator in these forests. There are worse things in the darkness. Without our protection, you would die within days. Taeho wanted to argue more, but he knew she was right. He had barely survived the first beast. His ship was destroyed. His supplies were gone. He had no way to call for help, no way to leave the planet. He was trapped. How long? He asked quietly. How long must I stay? The queen tilted her head. That question has no answer. You will stay until the debt is balanced. You will stay until our cultures understand each other. You will stay until leaving would not destroy what your sacrifice created. That could be forever. Perhaps, the queen said. Or perhaps not. Time will tell. She waved one of her arms, and the guards stepped forward. Take him to his quarters. Give him food, water, whatever he needs. He is not a prisoner, but he is not free. He is something in between. He is our honored guest and our responsibility. The guards led Taeho away. His mind was spinning. He was alive. He was safe. But he was not free. He was trapped in a golden cage, held by creatures who saw their captivity as kindness as they walked through the tunnels of the hive. Taeho thought about the 3 children he had saved. He thought about their small hands pressing against the membrane that held him. He thought about their grateful sounds. He did not regret saving them. He could never regret that. But he wondered if his act of kindness had cost him everything he had. The guards brought him to a chamber that was surprisingly comfortable. There was a soft bed made from some kind of plant material. There was a window that looked out over the forest. There was food on a table that smelled strange, but not unpleasant. You will stay here, one guard said. If you need anything, call. We will hear you. Then they left. The door remained open, but Taeho knew he was not truly free to leave. He walked to the window and looked out at the alien forest. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and orange. Somewhere out there, beyond this planet, beyond this star system, people were looking for him. His company would send search parties. His family would demand answers. Someone would come eventually. He just had to survive until then. And he had to find a way to make the queen understand that gratitude and imprisonment were not the same thing. Weeks passed. Taeho learned to count the days by watching the purple sun rise and set through his window. Each morning, he woke up hoping something would change. Each night, he went to sleep knowing nothing had. His quarters were comfortable. The bed was soft. The food was strange but filling. He had a small area where he could exercise. He had books, or at least the alien version of books, strange tablets that showed moving pictures and made sounds when touched. He could not understand most of them, but they passed the time. He was not locked in his room. The door was always open. He could walk through the hive whenever he wanted. But guards followed him everywhere. 2 of them, always watching, always silent. They stayed several steps behind him, never threatening, never aggressive. But they were always there. When he tried to walk toward the exit that led to the forest, they would gently block his path. When he tried to approach the area where his crashed ship lay, they would shake their heads and guide him back. He was free, but not free. A prisoner who could walk anywhere except where he actually wanted to go. The aliens of the hive watched him with curiosity. At first, they kept their distance. They would stop and stare when he passed through the tunnels. They would whisper to each other in their clicking language. Some looked afraid. Some looked angry. Most just looked confused. What was this strange soft creature doing in their home? Why did the queen let him stay? Why was he so important? Gradually, the fear faded. The aliens began to accept his presence. Some of them would nod at him as he passed. Others would offer him food or water. A few brave ones tried to communicate with him using hand gestures and simple sounds. Taeho learned their language slowly. The translation devices helped, but they were not perfect. He wanted to understand the aliens on his own. He spent hours each day practicing their sounds, learning their words. His human throat was not made for their language, but he tried his best. The 3 children he had saved came to visit him every day. They were growing quickly. When he first saw them in the forest, they were small and soft, barely able to walk. Now they were larger, their shells hardening, their movements more confident. They were still children, but they would be adults soon. The smallest of the 3 was named Nara. She was the one who came to visit him most often. She would arrive at his door each morning with food and sit with him while he ate. She was learning to speak human words, just as he was learning to speak hers. "Good morning, Teho," she would say, her voice clicking and humming around the human sounds. "Good morning, Nara," he would reply. She would smile at him, or at least he thought it was a smile. Her mouth would open slightly, and her eyes would brighten. It looked like happiness. Nara was curious about everything. She asked him about Earth, about humans, about the stars. She wanted to know what human food tasted like. She wanted to know if humans had children the same way the Kira did. She wanted to know why human skin was so soft and why humans had only 2 arms. Teho answered her questions as best he could. He told her about Korea, about his family, about his life as an engineer on cargo ships. He told her about rain and snow and seasons. He told her about music and books and movies. She listened to everything with wide, fascinated eyes. In return, she told him about the Kira. That was what her people called themselves. They had lived on this planet for thousands of years. They built their hives from special materials they created with their own bodies. They were ruled by queens, powerful females, who led each hive with absolute authority. The males were smaller and less common. The workers and soldiers did most of the daily tasks. The young were everything to the Kira. Children were rare and precious. A queen might only have a few dozen children in her entire lifetime. Losing even one was a tragedy that could affect the whole hive for generations. What Teho had done, saving 3 royal children, was the most sacred act imaginable to them. "You are a hero," Nara told him one day. "The songs already speak of you. The Park Teho who fell from the sky. The soft creature who became hard when our children needed him." Teho shook his head. "I am not a hero. I just did what anyone would do." Nara clicked her disagreement. "That is not true. We have studied many species. Most would not have done what you did. Humans are strange. You are weak and soft. You die easily, but you throw your bodies into danger for others. It makes no sense, and yet it is beautiful." Teho did not know how to respond to that. He had never thought of humanity that way. To him, it was just normal. You helped people who needed help. You protected children from danger. That was what good people did, but the Kira saw it differently. To them, human sacrifice was almost magical, a mystery they could not solve. Not everyone in the hive welcomed Teho. Elder Soma was the queen's chief advisor, an ancient Kira whose shell was cracked and faded with age. He watched Teho with suspicious eyes every time they met. He never spoke to Teho directly, but Teho could feel his hatred like cold water. One day, Teho overheard Soma speaking with the queen. He was hiding around a corner, practicing his language skills by listening to conversations. He knew it was wrong, but he was desperate for any information that might help him escape. "The human cannot be trusted," Soma was saying. "Humans are manipulative. They pretend friendship to get what they want. This one is no different. He saved the children to gain our favor. He's playing a long game." The queen's voice was calm. "You believe he knew our laws? He knew that saving our children would bind us to him. I believe humans are clever. Perhaps he researched our species? Perhaps he planned this from the beginning." His ship crashed in uncharted space. He was dying when we found him. His wounds were real. His blood was real. You cannot fake the kind of sacrifice he made. Perhaps not. But I do not trust him. I never will. Taeho felt anger rise in his chest. He had not planned anything. He had acted on instinct, nothing more. But he understood Soma's suspicion. In a strange way, he even respected it. Someone had to protect the hive from threats. Soma was just doing his job. Still, it hurt to be hated for doing the right thing. Months passed. Taeho became a part of the hive's daily life. He helped where he could, using his engineering skills to fix machines and improve systems. The Kira were impressed by his abilities. Humans, they said, were very good at building things. Nara grew into a young adult. Her shell hardened fully, turning a beautiful shade of blue. She was taller now, almost as tall as Taeho. But she still visited him every day. Their friendship had become something deep and real. Do you still want to leave? She asked him one evening. Taeho looked out the window at the sunset. Yes, I miss my home. I miss my family. I miss my life. But you are part of our family now. You are part of our life. He turned to look at her. I know, and I am grateful for that. But it is not the same. I did not choose to be here. I cannot choose to leave. That is not freedom. That is captivity, no matter how kind the cage. Nara was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke softly. I understand. I would feel the same if our positions were reversed. She reached out and touched his hand gently. I hope you find what you are looking for, Taeho. I hope you find your way home. That night, Taeho made a decision. He could not wait any longer. He had to act. He had to find a way to contact his people, no matter the consequences. He began to plan. The plan was simple. Dangerous, but simple. Taeho had been helping the Kira engineers for months. They had shown him their technology, their machines, their communication systems. The Kira were advanced in many ways, but their technology was different from human technology. They used organic materials where humans used metal. They used sound and vibration where humans used electricity and radio waves. But Taeho was an engineer. He understood machines. He understood how to build things. And he understood how to take pieces from one machine and make something new. Every day, he collected small parts. A piece of wire here. A power cell there. Components from broken machines that nobody would miss. He hid them in his quarters, beneath his bed, inside the walls. Slowly, carefully, he gathered everything he needed. The guards still followed him, but they had grown comfortable. Taeho had never caused trouble. He had never tried to escape. They watched him less closely now, sometimes looking away for minutes at a time. That was all he needed. At night, when the hive was quiet, Taeho worked. He built a transmitter. It was rough and ugly, held together with strange alien materials and pieces of his own clothing. But it would work. He was sure it would work. The transmitter could send a simple signal into space. A distress call, coordinates, a message that said, I am alive. I am here. Please come. The problem was power. The transmitter needed more energy than he could safely steal from the hive. He would need to find another source. And there was only one place that had what he needed. His crash ship. Taeho waited for the right moment. One night, when the moons were dark and the hive was deep in sleep, he made his move. He crept through the tunnels, avoiding the patrols, using everything he had learned about the Kira to move unseen. His guards were sleeping in their quarters, confident that their strange guest would not try anything. They were wrong. He reached the exit that led to the forest. 2 guards stood there, but they were tired. They did not see him slip past in the shadows. His human body, so soft and weak compared to the Kira, was also smaller and quieter. He used that advantage now. The forest at night was terrifying. Every sound made Teho freeze. Every shadow looked like a predator. He remembered the beast that had nearly killed him. He remembered the feeling of claws tearing into his back. But he kept moving. He had no choice. It took him 3 hours to find his crashed ship. The moonrise was exactly as he had left it, half buried in dirt and broken trees. Nature had begun to reclaim it. Vines grew over the hull. Strange insects made nests in the broken walls. Teho climbed inside. The ship's main power cells were dead, but the emergency backup still had charge. He connected his transmitter, adjusted the frequency, and pressed the button. The signal went out. A pulse of energy flying into the void of space. A tiny voice screaming into the darkness. Then Teho ran back to the hive. He made it to his quarters just before sunrise. He hid the transmitter under his bed and lay down, breathing hard, covered in sweat. He had done it. Now he just had to wait. Days passed. Then weeks. Teho began to lose hope. Maybe the signal had not worked. Maybe no one was listening. Maybe he was truly alone on this world, forgotten by everyone who had ever known him. Then, one morning, his hidden transmitter crackled to life. Unknown signal source. This is Commander Hike of the rescue vessel Morning Star. We have received your distress call. Please confirm your identity and status. Teho's hands trembled as he grabbed the transmitter. He pressed the button and spoke as quietly as he could. This is Park Teho, engineer of the cargo vessel Moonrise. My ship crashed on an unregistered planet. I am being held by an alien species called the Kira. They are not hostile, but they will not let me leave. I need extraction. Coordinates follow. He sent his location and waited. Minutes later, the response came. Teho, this is Commander Hike. Message received. We are 3 weeks from your position. Hold on. We are coming. Tears ran down Teho's face. He was not forgotten. Someone was coming. He was going to go home. He should have been more careful. The Kira monitored everything. Every signal that came into or left their territory was tracked and recorded. Teho's transmitter was primitive, but it was loud. The Kira scientists detected it within minutes. They traced it to his quarters. When the guards came for him, Teho did not resist. There was no point. They took his transmitter and brought him before the Queen. This time, there was no curiosity in her eyes. No warmth, only cold, bitter disappointment. You contacted your people, she said. It was not a question. Yes, Teho said. He would not lie. He would not apologize. You did this in secret. You hid your actions from us. You deceived us. Yes. The Queen leaned forward on her throne. Her voice was heavy with emotion. We saved your life. We healed your wounds. We gave you a home. We treated you as one of our own. And this is how you repay us? With lies and betrayal? Teho felt the anger that had been building for months finally explode. You did not give me a home, he said. You gave me a cage. A comfortable cage, but a cage nonetheless. You healed my wounds, and I am grateful for that. But you also took my freedom. You made decisions about my life without asking me. You treated your gratitude as a chain around my neck. The Queen's eyes widened. No one had ever spoken to her this way. Teho continued. I saved your children because it was the right thing to do. Not because I wanted something in return. Not because I expected a reward. I would do it again, even knowing what would happen after. But I cannot stay here forever. I have a family. I have a life. I have people who love me and need me. You cannot keep me here just because you feel you owe me something. The chamber was silent. Every Kira in the room stared at Teho with shock. Elder Soma stepped forward. You see, my queen, I warned you. Humans cannot be trusted. They speak of righteousness, but they only care about themselves. Be silent, the Queen said. Her voice was soft but dangerous. She looked at Taeho for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, quieter, sadder. You truly believe we have imprisoned you, have you not? Taeho asked. I cannot leave. I cannot go where I want. I cannot contact my people. What would you call that? The Queen was silent. For the first time, she looked uncertain. We thought we were protecting you, she said finally. We thought we were honoring you. We did not realize you saw it as punishment. I know, Taeho said, and I understand that you meant well. But good intentions do not make captivity feel like freedom. Kindness does not make chains feel light. The Queen looked down at her hands. Her great claws, capable of tearing through metal, rested gently on her throne. Your people are coming, she said. In 3 weeks, they will be here. What happens then? They will see us as enemies. They will try to take you by force. There will be conflict. Perhaps war. There does not have to be, Taeho said. Let me talk to them. Let me explain. You are not monsters. You are not villains. You are people who made a mistake. Let me help fix it. The Queen looked at him with her deep, dark eyes. And if we do this? If we let you speak? Will you stay? Taeho shook his head. I cannot promise that. I want to go home. I need to go home. But I also do not want war. I do not want anyone to get hurt. Please, let me try. The Queen was silent for a long time. The whole hive seemed to hold its breath. Finally, she nodded. We will wait. We will see what your people do when they arrive. And we will pray that your words are as strong as your heart. Taeho bowed his head. It was not freedom. Not yet. But it was hope. 3 weeks felt like forever. But help was coming, and Taeho would find a way to make this right. The morning star broke through the clouds like a spear of silver light. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. A human warship, armed with weapons that could burn cities and crack mountains. It hung in the sky above the Kira hive, engines humming with barely contained power. Taeho watched from the window of his quarters. His heart was beating fast. Part of him was overjoyed. That was his people up there, his rescue, his way home. But another part of him was afraid. He had seen what the Kira were doing. The hive was preparing for war. All night, soldiers had been moving through the tunnels. Weapons were being distributed. Defense barriers were being raised around the hive. The Queen had ordered non-combatants to move deeper underground, away from the surface. Children were being hidden in the safest chambers. They expected the humans to attack. They were ready to fight back. Taeho had tried to tell them that it would not come to that. He had promised that he could fix things. But the Kira had been hurt before. Other species had come to their world, with promises of peace and left with blood on their hands. They did not trust outsiders. They prepared for the worst. A guard came to his door. The Queen wants you in the communication chamber. The humans are calling. Taeho followed the guard through the busy tunnels. Kira soldiers watched him pass with cold eyes. Many of them blamed him for bringing this danger to their home. He could not fault them for that. He blamed himself too. The communication chamber was deep in the heart of the hive. The Queen was already there, surrounded by her advisors. Elder Soma stood at her side, his old eyes filled with hatred. Nara was there too, standing with the other 2 children Taeho had saved. They looked afraid. A large screen dominated one wall. On it was the face of Commander Hike. She was a stern woman with short gray hair and sharp eyes. Behind her, Taeho could see the bridge of the Morning Star, filled with officers and soldiers. This is Commander Hike of the Human Defense Fleet, she said. I demand the immediate release of Park Taeho. He is a human citizen being held against his will. Release him now, or we will take action. The Queen stepped forward. Her translation device hummed as she spoke. I am Queen Vela of the Kira. Park Tae-ho is not a prisoner. He is our honored guest. He saved the lives of our children, and we have cared for him in return. That is not what our intelligence suggests, Hike said coldly. We have evidence that he was prevented from leaving. That he was kept here by force. That is kidnapping by any definition. We meant him no harm. We wished only to repay our debt to him, then release him. If he is truly free, let him walk out of your hive right now. Let him come to us. If he chooses to stay with you after that, we will leave peacefully. The Queen was silent. Everyone in the room knew the problem. If Tae-ho left, the sacred bond would be broken. The Kira would have failed to honor their debt. It would shame the entire hive for generations. But if they refused, there would be war. And the Morning Star had enough firepower to destroy the hive 10 times over. We need time to discuss this, the Queen said. You have 1 hour, Hike replied. After that, we will assume you are holding our citizen hostage, and we will respond accordingly. The screen went dark. The chamber erupted into chaos. Advisors shouted at each other. Soldiers demanded to attack first, to destroy the human ship before it could strike. Elder Soma called for the Queen to stand firm, to defend their traditions no matter the cost. We cannot surrender to threats, Soma cried. If we give in now, every species in the galaxy will think we are weak. They will come to our world and take whatever they want. We must fight. Other voices agreed. The Kira were proud. They had never bent to outside pressure. They would not start now. Tae-ho stepped forward. Let me speak. The room fell silent. Everyone turned to look at him. Please, he said. Let me talk to Commander Hike. Let me explain what happened. Maybe there is a way to end this without bloodshed. Why should we let you speak? Soma demanded. You are the one who brought this danger to us. You betrayed our trust. You called your warships to our home. Yes, Tae-ho said. And that is exactly why I should be the one to fix it. I know both sides. I understand both cultures. I can find a solution that honors everyone. The Queen raised one hand, and the room fell silent again. Speak, Park Tae-ho. We are listening. Tae-ho took a deep breath. Commander Hike does not understand your culture. She sees captivity where you see honor. She sees enemies where you see friends. But she is not unreasonable. She is a soldier, but she is also a mother. She has children of her own. If I explain what really happened, if I tell her why you kept me here, she will understand. And if she does not understand, Soma asked, then we find another way. But we have to try. War will destroy everything. Your hive, your children, your future. And for what? For pride? For tradition? Is that worth dying for? Soma opened his mouth to argue, but a voice interrupted him. He is right. Everyone turned. Nara had stepped forward. She was trembling slightly, but her voice was strong. Tae-ho saved my life, she said. He saved my brothers and sisters. He bled for us. He almost died for us. And now he is trying to save us again. He is trying to stop a war that we started with our kindness. She looked at the Queen. We kept him here because we loved him. But love does not give us the right to control someone's life. We made a mistake. And if we do not fix it, many people will die. Kira and human alike. The Queen was silent for a long moment. Her dark eyes moved between Nara and Tae-ho. Something changed in her expression. Something softened. You have grown wise, daughter, she said finally. Perhaps wiser than your queen. She turned to the communication officer. Open a channel to the human ship. Park Tae-ho will speak. The screen flickered to life. Commander Hike appeared again, her face hard with impatience. As the Kira Queen made her decision, I would like to speak first, Tae-ho said. stepping in front of the screen. Hike's eyes widened. Taeho, are you safe? Have they hurt you? I am safe. They have not hurt me. In fact, they saved my life. He took a deep breath. Commander, I need you to listen carefully. What you believe about the Kira is wrong. They are not holding me hostage. They made a mistake based on their culture, that they meant no harm. They prevented you from leaving. They blocked your communications. How is that not hostage-taking? Because to them, it was not captivity. It was gratitude. Taeho explained everything. The crash, the children, the beast, his sacrifice. The Kira belief that such a debt must be repaid. The Queen's decision to keep him safe. Hike listened without interrupting. When he finished, her expression had softened slightly. That is quite a story, she said. But it does not change the fact that you were held against your will. No, Taeho agreed. It does not. And the Queen now understands that. She is willing to let me go. But I am asking you to do something in return. I am asking you to stand down. No threats, no weapons. Let this end peacefully. Hike was silent for a moment. Then she nodded slowly. If you walk out of that hive right now, we will leave orbit immediately. No attacks. No revenge. You have my word. Taeho turned to the Queen. Is that acceptable? Queen Vela looked at him with eyes full of emotion. Pride, perhaps, and sadness. And something that might have been gratitude. Yes, she said. It is acceptable. Nara stepped forward. Mother, I wish to speak. The Queen nodded. Nara looked at Taeho, then at the screen, then at the entire room. He saved us, but he is not ours to keep. Let him choose. The words hung in the air. Simple words. Powerful words. The Queen rose from her seat. For a long moment, she stared at Taeho. This small, soft human who had changed everything. Then she spoke the words that would change both their futures. The Queen stood tall. Her massive body cast a shadow over the entire chamber. Every Kira in the room watched her with wide eyes. The humans on the screen held their breath. Taeho felt his heart pounding in his chest. Queen Vela spoke slowly, her words heavy with meaning. You are free. The words echoed through the chamber. Some of the advisors gasped. Elder Soma closed his eyes in defeat. But most of the Kira remained silent, watching their queen with respect. You are free, Park Taeho, the Queen repeated. You may leave this hive. You may return to your people. You may go home. Taeho felt tears forming in his eyes. He had waited so long to hear those words. He had dreamed of them every night. And now they were real. Thank you, he said. His voice was barely a whisper. The Queen descended from her platform and walked toward him. Each step shook the floor slightly. She stopped directly in front of him, towering over his small human body. I owe you an apology, she said. We thought we were honoring you. We thought we were showing our gratitude in the greatest way our culture knows. But we were wrong. Gratitude that becomes a chain is not gratitude at all. It is selfishness wearing a kind mask. She reached out with one of her great arms and touched Taeho's shoulder gently. Her claws could have torn him apart, but her touch was soft, almost tender. You taught us something human. You taught us that kindness forced upon someone is not truly kindness. You taught us that love must respect freedom, or it becomes something ugly. We will remember this lesson for generations. Taeho looked up at her. I never wanted to hurt your people. I never wanted to disrespect your culture. I just wanted to go home. We know. And that is what makes you so remarkable. The Queen stepped back. You could have fought us. You could have tried to escape with violence. You could have told your warships to attack without warning. But you did not. Even when we held you captive, you tried to find a peaceful solution. Even when we wronged you, you tried to make things right. She turned to address the entire chamber. Let all Kira hear my words and remember them. Park Tae-ho is not just a guest. He's not just a hero who saved our children. He is something more. He is a bridge between our peoples. He has shown us that humans are capable of great sacrifice, great patience, and great mercy. She raised her voice so that it filled every corner of the room. From this day forward, let it be known across all the stars and all the worlds we touch. Park Tae-ho is blood bonded to the Kira. He is family. He is protected. Any creature in this universe who harms him, threatens him, or insults him answers to us. The full might of the Kira nation stands behind him. The room erupted into sound. Hundreds of Kira voices rose together in a chant that Tae-ho did not understand but could feel in his bones. It was a sound of acceptance, of welcome, of love. On the screen, Commander Hike watched with wide eyes. She had expected many outcomes from this mission. This was not one of them. "Wow," she said finally. "That is quite the diplomatic development." Tae-ho laughed. It was the first real laugh he had allowed himself in months. It felt strange and wonderful. "I suppose it is," he said. Nara approached him. Her blue shell gleamed in the light. Her eyes were wet with something that looked like tears, though Tae-ho was not sure if Kira could cry. "You are leaving," she said. Double quotes, "Yes. Will you come back?" Tae-ho looked at her. This young Kira, who had become his friend, who had visited him every day, who had taught him her language and listened to stories about his home, who had spoken up for him when no one else would. "I will try," he said. "I cannot promise anything. My life is far from here. My family needs me. But I will try to return someday. I would like to see how you grow up. I would like to see the leader you become." Nara smiled her strange Kira smile. "I would like that too." She reached out and took his hand. Her claws were sharp, but she held him gently. "Thank you, Tae-ho, for everything, for saving us, for staying patient, for showing us what humans can be." Tae-ho squeezed her hand. "Thank you, Nara, for being my friend when everyone else saw me as a stranger." They stood like that for a long moment. Human and Kira, two species separated by biology, but connected by something deeper. Then Tae-ho pulled away. It was time to go. The Kira gave him a small shuttle to reach the morning star. They could have let the human ship send its own transport, but the Queen insisted. Tae-ho would leave their world as an honored guest, not as a rescued prisoner. Elder Soma did not come to see him off. That was expected. But as Tae-ho walked toward the shuttle, he saw the old Kira watching from a distance. Their eyes met for a moment. Soma nodded once slowly. It was not friendship. It was not trust. But it was something. Acknowledgement, perhaps. Respect. Tae-ho nodded back. The shuttle rose through the atmosphere. Tae-ho watched the Kira hive grow smaller and smaller beneath him. The forest where he had crashed spread out like a green ocean. The mountains in the distance glowed purple in the setting sun. It was beautiful. This world that had almost been his grave. This world that had almost been his prison. This world that had become, in some strange way, a second home. The Morning Star's docking bay opened to receive him. Commander Hike was waiting when the shuttle doors opened. She saluted him with military precision. "Welcome aboard, Tae-ho. It is good to see you alive." "It is good to be alive," he said. "It is good to be going home." She led him through the ship to the observation deck. Through the massive windows, he could see the planet below. He could see the Kira hive, a tiny dot on the surface. "That was quite a situation down there," Hike said. "I have read your reports. I have heard the recordings. But I still do not fully understand. Why did they keep you? And why did they let you go?" Tae-ho thought about the question for a long time. "They kept me because they loved me," he said finally. "In their way, with their understanding of love. They thought they were doing something good. They thought they were honoring me, And they let you go? Because they learned that love without freedom is not really love. It took time. It took pain. But they learned. Hike was silent for a moment. Then she shook her head. Humans and aliens. We are so different. And yet sometimes so similar. Yes, Teho agreed. We are. The morning star pulled away from orbit. The engines hummed with power. The stars stretched as the ship prepared to jump to faster than light speed. Taiho watched the planet shrink in the distance. He thought about the Queen's words, blood bonded, protected. Family. He had come to that world as a castaway. He was leaving as something else entirely. A bridge between peoples. A symbol of what humans could be at their best. Part of him was glad to leave. He missed his home. He missed his family. He missed the simple life of a cargo ship engineer. But another part of him, small but real, felt something else. Something like loss. Something like longing. The planet disappeared from view. The stars blurred into lines. The morning star jumped into hyperspace. Teho was going home. Months later, he sat in his small apartment in Seoul. Rain fell against the windows. The city lights glowed in the darkness. Everything was exactly as he remembered it. And yet nothing felt quite the same. His communication device beeped. A message was coming through. Not a human message. A Kira transmission. He opened it and heard a voice he recognized. Nara. Older now. Stronger. Teho. I hope this message reaches you. I hope you are well. I have news. The Queen is dying. She is very old, and her time is ending. She has named you her final witness. It would mean everything to her if you could come. It would mean everything to me. There was a pause. Then Nara spoke again. Will you come? Teho stared at the message. He looked out at the rain falling on Seoul. He thought about his life here. His job, his routine, his safety. Then he thought about a young Kira with a blue shell who had called him friend. He thought about a queen who had learned to let go. He thought about a bond that crossed species and stars. He stood up and walked to his computer. He began plotting a course. The rain kept falling. The city kept glowing. And Park Tae-ho prepared to return to the world that had changed him forever. Some bonds, he had learned, were worth crossing the universe for.